let's do a walk around of the Victrip R6, and this is a pretty cool little monster, but it is way too small for me, but that doesn't keep me from liking it anyway. The big thing that I noticed with this bike almost immediately is that it has a speed hub. What this is a gearless hub motor, and most e-bikes these days have geared hub motors. So they give you really good torque in the low end, but it kind of like tapers off in the top end. So this is the opposite. This thing has like almost no torque, so riding it like in grass like this and up hills and stuff like that is not its favorable condition. But when you get up to your top speed and the way it holds its top speed, it's very efficient in doing that. So it kind of ramps up slowly in its speed, and then you're gonna kind of want to hold your speed once you get there. But that's pretty interesting to see. I've not ridden any speed hubs before this one. This is the first one I've ever actually had, so I will be interested to see how this bike handles its battery usage. Speaking of battery, it's a 15 amp hour battery, and as small as this bike is, it should take the bike pretty far. Now, the bike is built fairly cheap. It's got plastic pedals, pretty nice seat, but it did kind of chintz out in some different areas. Now, the setup for controls, I have never seen a bike like this before. You're seeing the control screen flash here. I promise you, when you look at that with the naked eye, you're not going to see that. That's because of camera shutter speed. But what you've got here is just basic controls over here. You've got a screen that turns on, and then the way you control it, you don't have like pedal assist levels up and down over here like on most bikes. You've basically just got a level 1, 2, and 3 toggle switch over here. So that's your low mode, your mid speed, and then your high speed. And you've got an off and on, which puts it into park mode. You'd think if you hit this off button, that's going to shut the screen off. That's not how it works. That just shuts off power from the throttle, which it is a full twist grip throttle. I do like that. So if I turn it back on, now it takes off again. The way you actually shut the bike off and on is through your key fob here. Let me get that out. So your key here has your unlock power button and your lock. And there are 2 lock modes. One lock mode just shuts the bike off, and the other one enables its security system. I gotta butt in and interrupt the video here because I go into a long, convoluted explanation of how to use the alarm system, and I found out later that if you just turn the battery off, it bypasses the alarm system. That's right, the alarm system is dependent on the battery being turned on, and the battery switch is exposed. So to bypass the alarm, all you got to do is shut the battery off. But you do need to keep these key fobs with you to start the bike, because to start the bike you have to double tap the power button. Now back to the video. We do have pretty nice grips. We've got cable driven disc brakes, and for as small as this bike is, these 160mm disc brakes should be just fine. We got plastic fenders front and rear, turn signals, headlight, and when we use the turn signals, they are sequential turn signals, but they're not self-canceling. So you'll look up on the dash here and you'll see a turn signal indicator on up here. This is what they look like from the rear. They're not self-canceling, so you have to hit the turn signal button again to shut them off. That's what our headlight looks like. I don't know how bright that's going to be in the daytime here. It is pretty bright out here today. There's what our tail light looks like. And here's what our brake light looks like. We got 16-inch knobby gravel tires front and rear. And as far as suspension goes, we've got an adjustable rear shock here, and we've got front shocks in the forks, triple crown fork, but they are not adjustable and not lockable. Really, that's it. It's a pretty simple bike, but simple is not necessarily a bad thing in my book, especially when it comes to working on something. Okay, pardon the messy floor in my van, but I use this thing to transport e-bikes, so it is what it is. But one of the things that I love about these small form factor e-bikes is that I can stand this thing up in the back of my van and transport it that way, and it is really, really easy to deal with. I love that. Assembly on the Victrip R6 was very simple and straightforward, but if you do need detailed instructions on how to assemble the bike, the paperwork comes with a QR code that you can scan that will direct you to detailed video instructions. All right, here we go. I told you this bike is a different kind of ride. It does not have much torque. If I don't get a run at this little hump right here, it ain't gonna make it up over this. This is somewhat flat ground here. Let me take off from a stop. Oh, see, that is not much of an incline at all. So yeah, with this bike taking off from a stop, you really got to get a run at it to get up these hills. And it does not give me enough pedal stroke to put behind it to help it. But anyway, here we go down the trail. I'm in 3 now. Let's drop down to 1 and take off from a stop and see how fast we can get up to in level 1. Oh my God, this bike is so little. It's fun to ride though. All right, it looks like level 1 caps out at 15 miles per hour. And we'll toggle over to level 2. That's taking us up to 22 miles per hour. And level 3 is slowly creeping up to, all right, we're at 24, 25. About 26 now. I weigh 187, the bike weighs, I'm guessing, around 60 pounds. I'll put the exact weight for the bike on the screen right here. But yeah, it looks like we're capped out at about 26.3 miles per hour. It should get decent range being a speed motor. I don't know, this is my first experience with a speed motor. We're definitely going to test it out and see, but as far as like speed tests go, I've showed you everything that it has. It's a pretty basic bike, but it's a fun little bike to ride as long as you understand the limitations that it has 0 torque whatsoever. When I do the range test, I'm going to do it in level 2. I think right around 20 miles per hour is plenty fast enough. I'm going to try to go down 8 miles, turn around, come back, and put 16 miles on the bike. If I run into any kind of like range anxiety, I'll be turning around sooner. But with this being a speed motor, not a geared motor, it should take me down there and back, theoretically, at, 20 miles per hour. But I don't know. We'll see. The brakes on this bike are plenty good enough. It's not super heavy, so the line-driven 160 millimeter disc brakes get the job done. They're not performance brakes, but they do the trick. All right, bundled up a little better now. Let's go 16 miles, bike permitting. I'm by the fairgrounds. It sounds like there are dirt bike races going on tonight. But here we go. This is not a bike that I would normally plan on taking 16 miles. Like I said, I'm 5'10", and this is a very, very tight ride for me. Level 2 caps us at 22 miles per hour. So that's how fast we're gonna go on this ride. Normally I do these rides at like 15 to 20 miles per hour, but with this comfort level, I'm fine with it going a little bit faster so I can get down and get back. I think this is a great bike for a kid because not only the seat height, it's going to be really good for short riders, but also it's not super torquey. So this is something that you can put a kid on and they're going to be able to roll back on the throttle, and it's going to be mild and controllable, and they're not going to get themselves into any trouble with this, or they're not going to get themselves hurt for the most part. Generally, it's not top speed on a bike that causes accidents. It's low speed takeoff and hard torque that rips the bike out from under people when they're not ready for it, and they end up like whiskey throttling it. That's where you hold the throttle, hold onto the throttle and brace yourself with it, and the torque from the bike twists the throttle even harder and causes all kinds of trouble. So that is definitely something to be aware of with younger riders. And this is a bike that I would have no problem putting a younger rider on and feeling pretty confident that they'd be able to take care of themselves on this bike. They would also have legs short enough to pedal up over the small humps that they would need to pedal up over. As far as like top end power goes, it's got plenty of power to carry me. I weigh 187 pounds. The bike weighs this much, and it's moving along just fine. You may have noticed that I don't have my hand on the throttle as I'm going down the road here. The bike has cruise control. That was a nice little surprise that I discovered accidentally. I'll go over that right now, do another brake test. And I'm in level 1 right now. When we get up to the top speed, the cruise button, the cruise light, cruise indicator should come on. There it is. And it locked the speed at 15 miles per hour. Now if I switch up into level 2, it's going to go up to like the 22.2 miles per hour and lock that speed in. Normally, I don't go onto these roads, and taking this bike on this road is probably a bad idea, as slow as it is. But there is a massive hill down here, and I want to go up this hill, even with a run at it, to see if this bike can make it up that hill. It doesn't look like much on camera, but I promise you, that is a hell of a hill. It's getting flattened out by the camera because fisheye from action cameras flattens these kinds of things out. I'm hoping that with a high-speed run at it, if I get up to like 25, it might be able to make it up that hill. I really doubt it though. This is a steep hill. But with some momentum behind us, here we go. I can tell you right now, it ain't happening. It's starting to putter out and run out of steam already. Can I pedal it? Oh God, this thing sucks to pedal for a full-grown man. Oh, it's making it up, but boy, the effort. That's good enough for me. I'm going to turn around and get back on the trail now. It is a bad idea for me to be on this road. I'll tell you right now, it's going to handle downhill just fine. I should probably turn on my headlight. Oh yeah, downhill, it's cooking. 32 miles per hour. Oh yeah. Yeah, that downhill advantage is nice. All right, back on the trail, and not a moment too soon. I don't like being on country roads on an e-bike, especially one like this. But now we shall continue our trip. So these are the places where I really want extra torque with an e-bike. I can see there's a car coming now, so I'm going to wait. But when it comes to crossing roads from these trails, that's where I really want to have more power on these things. So here we go. Oh yeah, creeping along. But it does ramp up pretty well. We are at the... We're at the 4 mile mark, and I'm freezing my gonads off already. Ugh. Is this going to be a good bike for wheelies? Absolutely not, and I wheelie mean it. So with this bike lacking in torque and taking a long time to ramp up to speed, it might incentivize some people to just blow through stop signs. So that's an issue to be aware of. Oh my goodness, I should have worn my long johns. So this screen is a bit weird. I have no idea how you would go through the different settings and stuff in this screen. It doesn't look like there's a menu button or anything like that, and there are not the standard up and down selections, so yeah, your guess is as good as mine. It's a pretty cool looking screen. I like how big it is. I mean, as simple as it is probably oversized, but I mean, you know, a kid's going to see this and they're going to be like, wow, that's super cool. But, you know, as far as getting in and modifying the settings, I couldn't tell you. It doesn't look like it's at all possible All right, my final thoughts on the Victrip R6. Well, I think I've said everything already. Cheap bike, cheap build, pretty good for kids. Other than that, stick around till the end of the video if you want to see the results of the final range test. All right, our little Eagle friend right here is the exact 8-mile mark on this ride, and when I let off the throttle, the voltage meter on the battery went back up to 100%, which is 4 bars out of 4. When I was in the throttle, it was down to 3. So let's take a look at the actual battery down here and see. The check on the battery is coming in at 3 bars out of 4. So we should have plenty of juice to get back, no problem, at 22 miles per hour. I would hope. Now the thing with e-bike batteries is that when they are up over halfway, they lean towards being inaccurate in showing that they are overly full, and when you get under halfway, they drop to 0 fast. So normally at like the halfway mark, that's when my range anxiety starts to kick in. But we're going to ride this one back at 22 miles. I came down here at 22 miles per hour. I did that hill climb, and now we're going to head back at 22 miles per hour. All right, we are at the halfway point on battery life now, and this is where I was starting to get a little bit nervous as far as range anxiety goes, but then I hit the brakes and it jumped up to 3 bars on the battery meter. So I think we're going to be just fine for making it back at the speed that I am sustaining. All right, we just dropped to 1 bar. If I let off the throttle, where's that going to put us? Okay, it jumped up to 2 bars when I let off the throttle. I got a bit over a mile to get back, and not a moment too soon, because it is getting cold out here as the sun drops. Something else I just noticed is the voltage sag is kicking in pretty hard. It's only holding a top speed of around 18 miles per hour now. All right, we're at about a half a mile to go, and we're only holding 17 miles per hour in level 2 now. It is certainly dropping off. All right, I'm almost back, coming up on the end of the ride here, and the bike definitely doesn't have the oomph that it once had. It got up to 18 here, but it's definitely suffering from some voltage sag. With that, we are almost dead. The battery is in the red. I'm going to say that it is probably under 20%. That's just my best guess, because I can just feel how weak the bike is now. But with that being said, I did run it pretty hard. Most of these tests I run at like 15 miles per hour, and this one I did at 22 miles per hour. Normally the highest I go is like 20 miles per hour, but I did 16 miles, 8 miles down, 8 miles back, and then I did that massive hill climb. So that's where we're at now. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.